Hello again, welcome back to the Sangha house here in Taunton. My name's Warwick Lydiate, and if you've been following me on this journey, looking at the various Enneagram types over the past few sessions, you'll know we've actually now got all the way round the Enneagram. I've given a little thumbnail sketch of each type. So where do we go from here? I've been all the way round. I'm just going to remind you of the 9 types of the Enneagram, just to catch up with where we've been. We've been around the circle looking at 9 personality types. Personality types being the collection of thoughts and habits, patterns of behaviour that we get into in life that come out in very kind of standardized ways. And the Enneagram is just one of a number of personality type indicators that you can look at to explore personality as a whole. So the Enneagram has 9. Enneagram means figure of 9. So type 1 is the reformer, type 2 the helper, type 3 the achiever, type 4 the romantic, type 5 the observer, type 6 the loyal skeptic, type 7 the adventurer, type 8 the asserter, and type 9, which we looked at last time, the peacemaker. What I've tried to do really with these is to kind of present each of those types as if they were a paint palette. And what I've done is on each palette I've put a splodge of paint, a kind of single colour, and given you a little outline of characteristics of each of those types. And collectively that makes up that particular colour. These, if you like, there are, in this case, in the Enneagram case, there are 9 primary colours. And we've been round the Enneagram and looked at each of those. I've also explained on a few videos in the past that we pick up a little bit of colour from, as we move round the Enneagram, from the type each side of us. So for instance, the type 2, the helper, will pick up a little bit from type 1, the reformer, or may pick up a little bit more perhaps from type 3. Sometimes you pick up equally from each side, sometimes a bit more from one than the other. But that adds a little bit of colour to your particular type, pattern, your ways of thinking and ways of behaving. What I want to do in the next few videos coming up is to add some more colours to your palette. And here they are, next door. In this, and we call these in Enneagram circles the instincts. When instincts mix with personality types, they're often described as subtypes. So I'm just making you aware that you'll probably come across 2 different names for these. Instincts, or some would say instinctual variants. Others would say subtypes. Basically, we're talking of the same thing. And these add 3 different colours into the mix on each palette as we go round the Enneagram. Now, there are 3 instincts. Here they all are. There's firstly, there's the self-preservation instinct. These are very foundational, really, again, more patterns of behaviour and thought. Self-preservation instinct. There's another one called the one-to-one instinct. And the third is called the social instinct. And the Enneagram, as I've said before, is really all about balance. And wouldn't it be nice if the instincts came out like this and we had an equal balance of all 3 of them? I'm going to come on to that in a minute. But firstly, what I want to do is to describe them to you. So these are survival instincts, almost like types, the Enneagram types. These also are survival instincts. If anything, I would say these are perhaps more foundational than type. These are really survival instincts. So the self-preservation, in a sense also, all three of them are kind of self-preservation. But anyway, you'll see what I mean. The self-preservation instinct is about the way that we look after ourselves, the way we take care of ourselves. For instance, somebody with a strong self-preservation instinct, what we would call a dominant self-preservation instinct, they'd be maybe very keen to produce a beautiful home, maybe very house proud, keep the place very clean and tidy, beautifully decorated. They may have a thing about beauty and make the place beautiful to come into, a beautiful space to come into. You may be very concerned about your health and your well-being. If in your area you have a place like the Sangha house, this is made much more easy because you can come and do many exercises to get into the body, fitness, well-being fitness exercises. You can do meditation and get into the heart and the mind through meditation or yoga, some of the other disciplines that are on offer. If you have facilities like that in your area, that's what you can do. And that will be important to you if self-preservation is important and dominant. You might be into eating the right food, taking care of yourself, taking your medicine when you should be, looking after your finances, doing your budget, maintaining your budget, paying your bills, careful about the home. All of those would go into the self-preservation instinct. The one-to-one instinct, these, I've put three up here. They can be any colour you like, and these are in no particular colour. I'm just pointing out that there's three of them. The one-to-one instinct, my Enneagram teacher called this phone a friend. Anybody who's familiar with, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, the quiz show, will know that they have an option if they're stuck on a question. They can phone a friend. The one-to-one is about having maybe one close relationship or two or three very close relationships. They will be important. That's what's going to get you through life. That's what's going to help you negotiate the problems. If you're in a mess, there's always somebody that you know that you can go to help you through. That person won't abandon me. There's also, in the one-to-one, there's a kind of juiciness of intimacy. In Enneagram circles, the one-to-one instinct used to be called the sexual instinct. And there's something behind that. There's a kind of preservation of the species instinct behind that. But I think the realization came that it wasn't in the end primarily about sexual relationships. It's about connecting with somebody. And you can connect in a whole variety of ways. You might connect intellectually. You might connect with somebody spiritually, that you know that that person is on your wavelength. You may have shared goals. You may have a shared view of the world. And that person or those two or three people will keep you afloat. That's what keeps you going. And the third instinct is called the social. And again, my Enneagram teacher called this Ask the Audience from the same quiz show. You could, if you're stuck on a question, you could phone a friend or ask the audience for help. And this is about, the social instinct is about fitting in with the group. Am I the hub of the group? Does the group revolve around me? Or do I just know where I kind of fit in? Am I a valued member of the group? There's a sense of, this is my tribe, and the world is not safe outside the tribe. The social can be family. It can be a shared interest group, a book club, all those sorts of things. It can be a political organisation, or maybe a trade union, something that you are part of that's important to you. There's another Enneagram teacher who's called this the negotiating. I think it was negotiating or navigating, the way you navigate your way through the connections of the group. And your group is important to you. You just love getting together. You feel at home, you feel safe as part of that wider group. And very often those who are social, they love the buzz of the party. Party animals, they love the atmosphere of the party. Now, I've said that the Enneagram's all about balance, and wouldn't it be great if we had those three instincts in equal measure? But unfortunately, we don't. And a friend of mine has produced a diagram which is much more the reality of these instincts. This, unfortunately, is how they appear in our lives. So one of these is clearly dominant. One or other of those three for you in your life will be dominant. That's what will be your focus. Is it yourself, your home life, your own personal well-being? Is it the one-to-one, the intimate, the close relationship? Maybe the partner, may not be. Maybe a close friend. Or is it the group? Is it the social? Do you just love being part of that group? This is how it is. So one of those is dominant. One of those will kind of support the dominant and will be, to use a musical term, but I won't kind of go down there, the subdominant, under the dominant. It'll be important, but less than the dominant. And there's one of them which my teacher called the blind spot, where we don't like to go. We don't want to think about it. If you're not the party animal, if you just dread going to that party, dread getting involved in that big loud group or those noisy groups, then social might be your blind spot. Eventually I'm going to do a whole one of these sessions just on the blind spot, because it's important and it causes trouble. It causes us difficulties in the workplace, in the home, in our relationships. So just for now, note it, that we have one of those three areas that we don't like to go to. One Enneagram teacher I've heard of just recently calls this the zone of indifference. The area of indifference. No, it's distasteful. If you're the social animal, you don't want to be bothered with your home. You might leave your home in a tip. You don't care about leaving it all spick and span. You want to be with the group. Or you want to be with the one-to-one, or the two or three people that you like getting close to. Never mind about keeping the home clean and tidy, or even yourself, or that can wait for another time. We go to what's dominant. We go to what is important. So what I want to do now is just show you that if you think of this as dollops of paint, if there's a paint palette on each of the types around here, you've got your type, but now you've got your instincts. You've got another dollop of paint from your dominant instinct, a smaller one for the next one down, and maybe a tiny dollop of paint for your zone of indifference, for your blind spot. But they go into the mix. They go into the mix to make up who you are. And just for instance, myself, here I am. I'm a type 5, the observer. I have quite a strong 4 wing, a little bit less of a 6 wing. Dominant for me is 1-to-1. I like the 1 or the 2 or 3 close-knit. I'm a little bit indifferent sometimes to both of the others, but I have those in various quantities, the social and the self-preservation instinct. So it's certainly dominant in the 1-to-1. So that's me. That would tell you quite a bit about me as a person. So we can go around each of the types. You can get 3, say, type 2s, one of each of these instincts, and they will have differences. You'll see, oh, that's a type 2, but there will be differences. So I'm going to leave it there today. So just to say, we'll be heading towards balance, trying to balance out and eventually really delving into the zone of indifference, as it were. So I'll just close today with a quote I actually started with from Jordan Peterson. The study of personality is daring, hopeless, and complicated. Study personality and its transformation, and approach the study of personality as an engineer of the human spirit. Hope you've enjoyed this presentation. Look forward to seeing you next time.